the Professional Bowlers Association presents the $135,000 Columbia 300 Open. Now let's meet today's top 5 finalists. Making his second appearance in the championship round this year, 26-year-old Joe Firpo will be shooting for his second career PBA title. His opponent in the opening match will be 5-time champion Parker Bohn III, who's making his 4th appearance in the championship round this summer. The winner of that first test will then take on this year's Oregon Open champ, Tony Westlake of Edmond, Oklahoma. And starting from the runner-up position this afternoon, it's 10-time PBA champion Brian Voss. And after a strong performance in the final 8 games last night, the 1988 Columbia 300 Open champion Scott Devers will need to win just 1 game in order to claim his 5th career PBA title. Welcome, everyone, to beautiful Highland Lanes, located in Austin, Texas, for today's championship round finals of the $135,000 Columbia 300 Open. Hi, everybody. I'm Denny Schreiner, and welcome to the capital of the Lone Star State, Austin, Texas, where for the 11th year the PBA Tour is staging a national tour event. 10 of those tournaments have been held right here at Highland Lanes. No player has ever won twice in this particular bowling center. However, our top seed today, Scott Devers, has an outside chance to accomplish that goal. Alongside, once again, PBA Hall of Famer Mike Durbin. Mike, let's talk about, Scott, a brilliant performance last night to become the #1 seed.
Well, as you say, he has a chance to win twice. He won here in 1988. He has to win just 1 game to be the first player to win twice here in Austin. But I think even more important is last night he averaged 235 while making up 300 pins on Brian Voss. So the momentum is going with Scott Devers. I think he's going to be very difficult to beat this afternoon.
Mike, throughout your career, you were noted as a player who was focused and could concentrate, block everything out. Come on, now, you really were. Brian Voss has disappeared from the national scene this year. He won his opening stop back in January. Since that time, he's not been to the championship round. He's undergone a lot of personal changes.
Well, he got married 1.5 years ago. He had a son, Joshua, just 4 months ago. He's buying a home, or has bought a home down in Florida. So there's a lot of other dimensions in Brian Voss's life. This does distract from your concentration. These things are not bad. They're good. It's an adjustment for Brian, but he says he's made an adjustment in his push away, and he's ready to go tonight.
#3 seed is Tony Westlake, won just a month ago up in Portland, Oregon. And he's a player, Mike, that just seems to sneak up on the field, and the next thing you know, he's in a championship game.
Well, he's also a type of player, Danny, that if I'm going to bowl action, he's one that I may not want to bowl against. Tony is extremely tough in the clutch. He won just a month ago, has the reputation that if you want somebody to throw a strike in the 10th frame to win, Tony's the guy you pick.
Parker Bohn III has spent more time on the ESPN air as far as bowling is concerned than Mike and I over the last 5 to 6 weeks. He's made 4 telecasts, yet he has not a win to show for it.
And what's interesting, too, Danny, a couple interesting things, is he's $120,000 behind last year's earnings. However, he's got 20 checks out of 24 tournaments this year, so he's still bowling well. Another interesting stat with Parker is that he has won 5 titles, but he has never won 2 games in a row on the telecast. Tonight, he has to win 4 games in a row to claim his 6th victory. It's going to be a difficult task for him.
Our #5 seed is a player that I think is still coming into his own, Joe Firpo out of Florida, a player who won the doubles championship a few years back. He's never captured a singles title, and this year he started to turn things around a little bit.
Well, his earnings are up this year. He's made $33,000 already this year. I noticed on the bios that his goal is to take 1 week at a time. What that tells me about Joe is that he recognizes that he's had some burnout problems and some mental problems, and is trying to get that area of his life and that area of his game under control, and I think he's doing a better job.
Well, we hope you enjoy the finals of the Columbia 300 Open here this afternoon. We'll be back with the start of match #1 momentarily. The championship round finals of the $135,000 Columbia 300 Open is being brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers. With that clean, crisp, cold taste, nothing beats a Bud. And by U.S. Air. Every time we fly, everywhere we go, everything we do, U.S. Air begins with you. And when we come back to Austin, Texas, it'll be Joe Firpo and Parker Bohn III in the opening match, so don't go away.
Here's to you, America. Being strong, but coming through. We send our best to you. Nothing beats our best, Budweiser. Nothing beats a Bud. And we'll toast and cheer with the king of beers. Nothing beats the Bud.
We know how hard hard you work, we'll work that hard for you. We believe in putting people first in everything we do. Every time we fly, every mile of sky, everything we do. USA, USA begins with you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're here at ringside for the fight card of the century. Sports Illustrated proudly presents history's greatest knockouts video with commentary from Mike Tyson. And the video is free with your paid subscription to Sports Illustrated. Call now and get ringside seats to this illustrious event. You'll witness over 40 of the most memorable, most talked about fights in boxing history. And you'll be knocked out when you hear that the video is free. Yes, it's free when you subscribe to Sports Illustrated, the magazine that gives you hard-hitting stories and photos week after week. And you'll get the football preview issues and the 92 swimsuit issue. Call now and save over 55% off the cover price. You'll get 23 issues for 3 easy monthly installments of $9.99 each. For faster delivery, use your credit card. So call now. Witness Foreman versus Roman, Lewis versus Khan, Liston versus Clay, and see Mike Tyson become the youngest heavyweight champion ever. Call to order or renew today. Use your credit card. Get knockout savings on Sports Illustrated and get history's greatest knockout video free.
And we're live from Austin, Texas, the championship round finals of the Columbia 300 Open. Joe Firpo will do the honors here, opening shot on the championship round pair of 19 and 20.
And if practice is any indication, Denny, Joe has no chance in this match because he wasn't throwing any strikes. He wasn't even hitting the 1-3 pocket.
He used 3 or 4 different balls. And, of course, the famous Durbin analysis shows up early on in the championship game.
Well, I had to give him a chance, Dan. I mean, I figured if I said that, he'd throw the first one right in the hole.
All these guys would be begging you to say things like that. Just kidding, but you're right. All players really have, in practice, of course, that's in parentheses, in practice, have had a few problems throwing some strikes, but you never know what will happen once the lights go on. And there we see the first errant shot.
And what do we have? The 3-6-7-9, equivalent of the 2-4-8-10 for the right-hander. Wants to hit the 3-pin very thin on the right and clip the 6, and there's a way that it, I don't know exactly how the pins work, but they go over and get the 7. Ooh. Well, 8 out. Practice doesn't mean anything because Parker was striking in practice. So, Parker, knees bent there, ball held waist high, pushes and steps, backswing slightly high, nice long slide. You'd never know he threw an errant shot looking at that. He looked beautiful.
Told me for sure today he was going to better his last performance on ESPN.
Which wasn't too good, right?
143. And up jumps the solid 8-pin.
Well, split in the solid 8 to begin with. We're finding out why Parker's never won 2 games in a row on television.
Whew. That's so unusual. He's won all 5 of his championships from the top seed position, which shows you he's the kind of player that can go out and lead an event. But is it different, Mike, when you bowl a game that's not for the championship in the championship round? Wouldn't it be the same feel or no?
Well, all I can rely on is past experience for myself and other players. Most players seem to feel that you go out, if you get by that first match, you might be a little uptight for that first match, then you relax. But with Parker, it hasn't been the case. He seems to come out with guns blazing when he's at the top. Smells the victory then.
And that's, in many cases, harder to do than it is to win from one of the other positions. Oh, Firpo for a moment had the 5 and the 7, was thinking about it, but of course that fell down.
Well, he had the 5-7-10 up there for a split second.
Yeah, he did.
If we got to look at that again, he's got a big grin on his face, you know.
So does Parker. You can see him in the background. He's thinking, oh, no. Now, if it were me, it would have been standing.
All these bowlers have such positive attitudes, don't they? We'll take a look at that shot, and you see it there. The 5-7-10 is up there momentarily, and the 5 and the 7 both fall, and Joe Firpo escapes. Shame, is that what it would be on national television? Or embarrassment, I guess that's it, huh?
In your illustrious career, did you ever leave the 5-7-10?
5-8-10.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Not. That's worse.
Yeah, I know.
Did you make it?
No, I didn't make it.
Whew. Well, I know one thing. if for a moment the 5-7-10 is standing after you've thrown a shot, it's time for an adjustment. Somewhere, either with the ball, with the speed, or with the line.
But he really can't, though, Dan. He's standing so far left and throwing right. He's just trying to circle the ball around the oil. And there's not a whole lot of adjustment that Joe can make.
Parker down by 12.
Better shot. And he's off 7.
Boy, the 5-pin jumped straight up in the air, and 10-pin went out, but he leaves the 7. Won 7 of 8 matches last night and moved from 9th to 4th yesterday. He had a very solid day all day long.
Well, you see how high that backswing got on that spare. He goes for that added speed and straight at the spares, as so many of the young pros do today.
Really has a wonderful attitude about the tour and about winning out here. I think it's one of the reasons why he's been successful.
Seems to be at peace with himself.
Enjoys what he's doing, takes the good with the bad. And we've already seen him win 5 times, and he's just so early on in his career. I mean, Michael, he's got a lot of years left.
Here, though, it seems like if he throws it just a little bit harder or sends it just a little bit further left, the ball doesn't make it back, and he's got some kind of 3-9 combination.
And for him, throughout most of the week, threw just 3 different bowling balls this week with actually the same weights in each one. Just went to a different surface when he wanted to make an adjustment.
At the 3-9, has it.
Nice pickup for Parker Bohn in the 4th, and he trails by 15. As we leave Austin, Texas, a look at the tower at the University of Texas. The main tower was constructed back in 1936 to house the administration for the University of Texas.
Basically, trucks are used for 2 reasons, hauling and towing. And for that, you need power. And the Sierra from GMC Truck has the most standard horsepower in its class, which gives you the hauling and towing strength you need. Plus, for 6 straight years, the full-size pickup from GMC Truck has retained more of its original value than any other in America. Sierra, powerful and durable.
You got a little cassette player. You got a box. Your kids got toys with batteries. I got bad news for you. Those batteries you throw away are loaded with mercury, and the mercury you throw away gets into the soil. Bad, bad, bad. Use rechargeable batteries. And if you see someone tossing out a battery, instead of taking it to a recycling center, tell them to take it back.
Buy stuff that's recycled. Recycle the stuff you buy. Take it back.
26-year-old Joe Firpo bowling out of Lake Worth, Florida, with 1 career PBA title. That coming in the doubles. He won with Del Warren. Looking for that first singles title. Oh, boy. Set that one down a little short, or didn't send it quite far enough, Mike, and that one ripped right through the head pin.
Well, as you said, that 5-7-10 was playing in the back of his mind, and so that's the adjustment then. He has to stay with that shot and trust that that's those unusual leaves like that are not going to happen.
When we talked to Joe during the practice session, he's kind of kidded us a little bit. And he said, well, I'm trying to figure out how I can go around this condition or go straight at this condition. And obviously, he's still looking for the key on lane 20.
4-step holds the ball down. Now watch the head. Watch the backswing. Nice style. Long slide. Very simple game. Has good roll on the ball. When you watch Joe bowl, you wonder why he doesn't make more money.
He's probably wondering that himself. Although, as you said, he has made some attitude adjustments and changed his perspective in terms of how to make it out on the tour. Again, that ball did not quite get to where he wanted it, and he leaves a Durbin on lane 19.
Speed, Denny. He's not trying to throw hard, but he can't throw it that slow. Sets it down in toward the middle of the lane. About the 11th or 12th board, sending it out to maybe the 6th or 7th. Just too soft. The line was close to what he wanted. It was too soft. Better speed this time, and has the spare.
Excellent conversion.
About a mile or 2 an hour difference there.
So what you're telling me is that speed control will be a key factor in the championship round today.
When you got backhands hooking as much as these are, and the ball is skidding that much in the front of the lane, yeah, speed control becomes vital.
And Parker, who likes to throw the ball with some velocity, then is going to have to gear back a little bit.
He caught all of that one.
Had a handful at the bottom, and that was as good a shot as he could possibly throw. Has his first strike now in 5 frames. He's down by 11, but could cut the lead to 1.
And I still like Parker's chances in this match. To me, he's got the better angle of attack to the pocket. I think he's throwing the ball superbly. And you just have one really errant shot in the first frame, as we see the 6-10 crunch out. Parker says, finally, first strike of the game. Now he's looking for his first double.
Beautiful shot. So Parker comes back with a double, cuts the lead to 1, and now let's see if Joe Firpo is able to muster the type of shot that he needs to stay in this match.
And you try and read the body English, and Parker just seems to be exuding confidence. And I see a look of concern on Joe's face here as he gets up, especially on this right lane. He's just a little befuddled by this right lane.
More room. And there you see the ball didn't quite get back, but the 2-pin did fall. 10-pin remains.
He's really caught in between. You know, he has to make an absolute perfect shot just to get the ball to the 1-3. He throws it a little harder and a little wider, and it's the 2-10. And if he throws it a little softer, it's the 3-6, 9-10. So, tough shot.
That was the nature of the condition, at least as I saw it last night when I was here for the final 8 games. I think I saw more 2-8-10s in the first 5 minutes in this bowling center than I had seen all summer long.
And we're staring at it. We've only had 4 strikes between the 2 players. Basically an even match, right to the pin. We got 4 frames to go. My money right now would be on Parker Bohn.
The history of this particular pair of lanes throughout the years that we've been here doing the telecast is one of a medium scoring condition, fair for both the lefties and the righties, but a pair of lanes that really hasn't given a lot of high scores, but very close competitive matches. And I think that's been kind of the fun of this tournament through the years.
There's Joe. Solid on lane 19.
All right, we'll be back with more bowling here from Austin, Texas. But as we leave, we'll take a look at the Mansfield Dam, which was constructed on the Colorado River back in 1937. It feeds water into Lake Travis, Lake Austin, and Town Lake.
Competitors know that it takes power to score. Power in your approach. Power in your equipment. Witness the devastating result of premium urethane charged with a secret additive and explosive high-energy impact for better corner carry. Even arc. More hook. The perfectly matched 2-piece ball. The U2 from Columbia 300.
This minivan goes shopping, gets the kids to school, carries camping gear. When I need brakes, I can't wait for my dealer to fix them.
Then come to Midas.
Hey, this is a minivan.
Hey, this is Midas. Cars, trucks, vans, and minivans. We're the brake experts. We do the job right with a written estimate up front, Midas trained experts, and a great guarantee.
What about price?
You get a good price and a lot of value. But brakes done right, nobody beats Midas. Nobody. If it happens in baseball, you'll see it on ESPN. There he goes. He leaps. He makes the catch. See Tuesday night doubleheaders, Wednesday night excitement, Friday night twin bills, and exclusive Sunday night action. The Red Sox are trying to turn things around, led by the bat of all-star Wade Boggs. Frank Thomas and the White Sox stand in their way. Live at 8 Eastern on ESPN Sunday Night Baseball.
Back live, Parker in the 7th, and he's working on a double.
And trying to take the lead for the first time in the match. Geared up a little, adrenaline pumping, a little firmer, a little wider, doesn't make it back. Neither one of the players has got a lot of area. It takes quality shot making today. 3-9 again. He left this back in the 4th frame. Has to hurry. Woo!
By a whisker.
He wasn't worried, but I was. Well, 2 pins of difference now.
You can see him, again, I know you like to get into the body language, but very disappointed that he didn't strike on that shot.
Right. And watch this. Just clips it. The ball had just enough power to take out that back pin.
Good tight match here in game number 1. Oh, it was until this point. Parker shakes his head, turns around, and he's got a problem.
And it's amazing how that body English will change. I mean, when he walked off the approach in the 6th frame, he was bristling with confidence, and now, as we see a replay of this shot, ball slightly behind his back on that shot, Dan. Sends it a little wider, and it just does not make it back. And here's the result. Back to live action. And really opened the door for Firpo.
Speaking of Joe Firpo, he's on a strike in the 7th. He leads by 16, and with a strike here on his tough lane, he could really put the heat on Parker Bohn.
See that? He's only averaging 198 on television.
Oh, nice roll. That ball rolled out. I kept expecting it to go right through the head pin.
It did. It stopped right at the pocket. Now, the shot before in that lane rolled out to come in light where he kicked the 2-pin out. He could have had the 210 before. Big shot. Now he's going to his favor to the 2 lanes and has a chance to put the match away.
And you know what he's done too, Mike, although he's had a couple of breaks. He has stayed clean in this game and given himself a chance to win. Meanwhile, Parker with 2 donuts here in game number 1, and that's not how you get to the next game.
Well, even more important, with a chance to really take command of the match, he didn't do it.
So this has been the good lane for Firpo, and he shows it right there with a clutch strike. So Joe Firpo rising to the occasion here in the latter stages of the opening match to seize control here momentum-wise.
Parker has to strike out to have any chance at all.
If he would strike out, he could shoot 199.
Tighter line and the solid 7. He'd have taken that back in the 8th frame then, or the 7th frame.
Tony Westlake warming up and waiting to come on. He's next in line. Brian Voss is our number 2 seed, and the 1988 Columbia Open champion, Scott Devers, will bowl from the number 1 position here this afternoon.
And so Parker's record of never having won 2 games in a row on a championship round is going to continue.
All that tells you is he just needs to lead more tournaments, right?
I guess.
He's a killer from the top spot, but hasn't yet figured out how to win from the other position.
And he never did really figure out this pair. It looked like he had gotten it together in the 5th and 6th frame and was on a roll, and then there was the only 2 strikes he's thrown this game.
Mike alluded to the kind of year that Parker Bohn has had. He's $100,000 behind where he was a year ago, but in terms of consistency, he hasn't made a lot of telecasts. In the last month he has, but boy, 20 cashes is terrific.
20 out of 24, but what that tells me, Dan, is still the name of the game on the PBA Tour, as far as I've always been concerned, is winning. In order to make the big bucks and get the money that you want to have, you got to win.
Parker will have to settle for 5th place here in Austin, Texas, and prepare to head down to Edmond, Oklahoma for next week's PBA Tour event. Firpo high on lane 20 as he's still kind of searching it out a little bit as he kicks out the 4-pin.
Well, we'll see what Westlake does when he comes over, if he makes Firpo finish on this lane. He's bowling 220. It's hard to criticize that, but it is kind of a shaky 220.
Parker with an antidote there, and Firpo with a smile on his face. It's the first time we've seen Joe show any emotion whatsoever in this opening game. It's a little easier once you've won. Nice loose swing there. Boy, it looks like if you make a good shot, Mike, you get a good result.
Well, that was his best shot of the game right there on that lane. He made a lot of shots that good on the left lane. He's going to finish out this game here with 2, 4, 8 strikes if he strikes on this fill ball.
Smooth roll. So Firpo finishes with a 6-bagger. Shoots 235 to Parker Bohn's 173. And so Parker will finish off the week. Joe Firpo will wait for Tony Westlake. And when we come back to Austin, Texas, Mike Durbin's average builder. And it's the 3, 4, 6, 7, 10 this week. So stay tuned.
Have you ever wondered how
how a professional painter can always get such great results. Because no matter what the job, he'll always start off in the exact same place. At a Sherwin-Williams store, there's only one paint that's good, and there's only one place you can get it. The pros know. Ask Sherwin-Williams.
When sports cream? When arms are sore? When legs ache? When muscles hurt? Why sports cream? Massaging sports cream in brings fast pain relief. No medicine-y smell. No odor. Why sports cream? Because it works.
Average Builders is brought to you by Pizza Hut. Try the new double cheeseburger today. Pizza Hut, making it great.
2 weeks ago, we all saw Jeff Stayrook convert the 7-10 split on our ESPN telecast. But he made another very difficult split that afternoon. He made the 2-4-6-10. And that's the split that I would like to look at this afternoon, only from the right-handed point of view. That becomes the 3-4-6-7, and we'll throw in the 10-pin for good measure, a 5-pin split. You know, it used to be years ago when we threw the ball through the heart of the pins and left the 3-6-10, that was all we left. But nowadays, because of the hooking back ends and one reason or another, many times it has company, and the 4-7 is thrown in there. So while it's not a very common everyday split, it's becoming more common. But regardless of why we left it, we need to figure out how to convert it. And there are two basic ideas on how to make this split. One is we can move to the left side of the approach and try and convert it like we would the baby split, the 3-10. That is, throw the ball basically between the third and the fourth arrow, throw it hard and straight, try and clip the 3-pin on the right. The ball will take out the 6-10, and we hope that the 3-pin will go over and get the 4-7. The trouble with this method is that the angle is not quite right on the 3-pin. So what happens is many times that 3-pin goes over and gets either the 4 or the 7, but not both. That's why I recommend shooting it off of your strike line or a more outside angle and throwing a hook at the split so I can come in behind the 3-pin at a different angle and hit the 3-pin with enough force and power to go over and get the 4 and the 7. Now, in this particular bowling center, I'm standing here on board 20, and I'm aiming at board 9 in order to get a strike. If I threw the ball, aiming at that, and went through the heart of the pins and left the 3-6-10, if I moved just 5 boards to the left, I would make the 3-6-10. But that won't make the split. I need to come in a little further right on the 3-pin to make the split, so I'm going to add one more board to it and stand on board 26, aim at board 9 to try and make the split. Here we are, board 26, and we're aiming at board 9, and I'm going to try and hook it. There you have it. That's how you make the 3-4-6-7-10. And I won't tell you how many takes it took me to make it, but it was more than one. You be sure and join us August 8th from Green Bay, Wisconsin, when we'll have another average builder. And if you have trouble with your split conversions in the meantime, see your local PBA Pro.
Back in 1989, Tony Westlake finished third in this championship. He'd like to move a little higher up the ladder. When we come back, he'll take on Joe Firpo.
A change is coming, it's understood. Happening all over my neighborhood. Only one place got the taste for me. Gonna change to Pizza Hut delivery.
Call Pizza Hut Delivery now for the double cheeseburger pizza. Get one medium for $8.99, a second for just $4 more. Or make it deluxe with bacon and onions for just $1 more.
Gonna change to Pizza Hut Delivery. Pizza Hut Delivery, making it great.
This summer, you can win one of 50,000 prizes worth over $1 million by finding one man.
I'm back, and this time I brought friends.
Haven't I seen you somewhere before? You know, you look very familiar.
Nice suits. Here.
Find a Budman certificate inside packages of Budweiser, Bud Light, and Bud Dry Draft to win.
Nothing beats a Bud Man!
Well, after the opening match, Joe Firpo now takes on Tony Westlake, who won a month ago up in Portland, Oregon. And we'll see if Joe Firpo can shoot another game over 220. It's the first time in his career in the championship round he's ever bested 220. Shot 235 in the opening game.
And he averaged 225 on this pair, so he may have a feel for the pair. Maybe he's gotten relaxed now and throw it right to the heart of the pins. We had that all figured out, didn't we?
First shot a little high, but the one thing that Joe has avoided are splits and opens.
That's what I was thinking of. You know, sometimes when things are going your way, when you throw it right through the heart of the pins like that, you get 9, just like he did, instead of 4 or 5. I mean, or 6, 5 or 6. Makes the Sparrow a lot easier.
Tony Westlake has a very sore middle finger right at the cuticle. Told me that it takes him a while to bowl and get that thing loosened up so that the pain isn't quite so severe, but I think probably all these players have some kind of pain in their hand. Opens up quickly and leaves a soft 10 on lane 20.
Tony playing similar angle that Firpo is, but just with more speed and less hook.
Average 215.5 on this particular pair of lanes.
Interesting stat there. Doesn't come out of the gate blazing a lot of times, losing 13 out of 21 in his first game on TV.
Good long look at the 10-pin. Really a very efficient player, a fooler. When you watch him bowl, makes a lot of quality shots. Has come close to winning some of the biggest titles on the tour. Finished second to Ferraro in the Firestone 2 years ago.
He finished second in that tournament twice, didn't he?
Mm-hmm. Well, less hook for Tony, and a nice pocket strike on lane 19.
You know, he came out a month ago and beat Norm Duke up in Oregon and shot 235 and just looked tremendous doing it. I mean, just every ball in the pocket. And so maybe he's gotten over that problem of winning the first match on TV. We're waiting for the pins to be set up on lane 19. It must be some malfunction in the machine. Joe does not want to bowl on lane 20 with a dark lane on 19 because he knows in the back of his mind it's going to come down in the middle of his approach.
Mm-hmm. And, of course, immediately following our Columbia 300 Open, we've got Canadian Open tennis for you from Montreal. So you'll want to stay tuned for that. Service ace for Firpo on lane 20. Now all of a sudden, 20 looks like the better lane.
Well, since the 10th frame, he's got to keep that speed up on the left lane. Can't ease up or the ball jump right through the nose.
Trying to be the first player to double here in game number 2 as we're even through a couple of frames.
Ooh, bad break there. A little bit of a look of disgust on his face that he didn't get that light hit. He would have liked to gotten out to that 10-pin lead early.
And at this point in time, as you take a look at his fiancée, Tony Westlake utilizing this time to re-rack the right-hand lane because he's also looking for the first double of the match.
Did you see that look of intensity on her face?
Yes.
I think she's into this match.
I'm going to say she probably is.
There it comes. And there's the 10-pin again. Tony, who wastes no time.
The thing I like about his game, I think perhaps more than anything else, is his ability to keep the ball in play and hit the pocket. He doesn't perhaps strike as much as some of the players out here, but he always seems to be in play.
I like his heart, Denny, myself. I just have watched him strike out in the 10th frame to bail out games, to win tournaments. He's just not afraid of the situation when he gets up there in that situation. Carbon copy there.
Mm-hmm. Both players are striking on opposite lanes now, though. Brian Voss warming up. He's next on the hit list. Scott Devers, the remaining left-hander in this event, is the top seed.
Tighter and didn't break it up. Pulled it just a little bit. Shakes his head. Side-to-side motion of that head is not a good sign. Trying to get it out to about the 9th board. And we watch it. Way left. Bounces around over there.
Open frame now gives Firpo a 13-pin lead here in match number 2. And here's a look at the downtown area of Austin, Texas, famous for its 6th Street musical entertainment.
The Jones Automotive family announces an addition to its lineup of auto dealerships, Jones, the Body Shop. Jones takes over 30 years of automotive experience and puts it into an all-new, state-of-the-art, environmentally safe body shop suited to repair every make or model of car and light-duty truck. Jones, the Body Shop, is also authorized to take all insurance bids and gives free estimates. Jones, the Body Shop, 1340 Loop Road, Lancaster, or call 394-0712.
Sometimes you just have to take charge and take off. Because there's nothing that says you can't be a good mother and a good friend at the same time. And you're likely to find that some things have changed for the better, while some things haven't changed at all. Bowling at BPAA Centers, it's a whole lot more than a game.
Clearview Lanes in Mount Joy.
Why are more...
Put the Abbey in the DV, or Super Briar Game June is all on Fond Red.
For the final word in all the sports news, turn to the Emmy Award-winning ESPN Sports Center, America's sports authority.
Back in Austin, Texas, Joe Firpo with a 13-pin lead in game number 2.
More room. Nice shot. He's figured out lane 20, hasn't he?
Well, when I asked him about this pair when he was practicing, he gave me the casting fishing look, and he said, you know, I'm just kind of fishing right now. Well, he's hooked a couple big ones out there right now. He's got the boat in the right spot, and he's got the right lures.
It just seems if he can execute the quality shot that he wants to, he gets a pretty good result.
Deep breath, looking for a double and a 23-pin lead.
Good speed. Oh, bad break, the 4-pin. He wanted to jump on that mistake by Westlake. When your opponent makes that mistake like that, you like nothing better than just stomp on him. Come back with that double.
Mm-hmm.
There we see the difference in earnings so far, and he's got the rest of 91 to go. So it's not a great season, but it's better. It certainly would be added to with first price check here.
Mm-hmm. $21,000 will go to our winner this afternoon of the Columbia 300 Open. Uh-oh, major league drop-off there. There's more room on that shot, and the 2-8-10 stands. The moment that one left his hand, that one just spelled trouble.
And it's interesting that Parker Bohn, Brian Voss, Tony Westlake, all these guys, and Scott Devers, our tournament leader, are way down in earnings this year over last year. Ooh, did bounce that around, but didn't get the break.
24 pins down now after 5 frames. Can he come back?
Of course he can come back. He still has a potential score of 226 if he would strike it out, but he better get his act together and start throwing it in the pocket.
Needs to get something started, and he does with a solid strike on lane 19.
You know, Dan, talking about these guys being down in earnings this year, I think that there are a lot of factors, but one of them is just the quality competition on the PBA Tour. There's only so much money out there, and it's ferocious competition for guys to compete for that money.
I was going to say, if you look at Tony's earnings, then you look at Brian Voss, he's about half of where he was last year. Scott Devers in a similar situation, or has Scott made a little bit more?
No, Scott's down from last year also.
But I think you're dead accurate in terms of there are more good players taking more money out of the tournament each and every week, and if you don't win on this tour, you can't stack up the big numbers.
We saw that he's cashed 13 out of the last 16 tournaments. He cashed only 1 out of the first 9, so he's turned his season around, and now he'd like to take that 34-pin lead with a strike here.
Oh, he had the area moving that time. 5-pin wiggled and wouldn't fall, and that was a bit of an unfortunate break because it was halfway down.
Something else had to hit it, knock it back up then. It was a really bad break. The look of disgust on his face as he thinks he has it right now. Come on, fall down, he said. Oh, no.
And Parker Bohn told me a horror story. He alluded and told you he had a 7-10 earlier this week, and the head pin went off the wall, came back, hit the 7-pin, knocked it down, and then the head pin stood up. Unbelievable. All sorts of action. Austin became the permanent capital of Texas back in 1850, and the present building, the one you're looking at right now, was completed in 1988. Make that 1888.
The total number of cheese puffs that you've eaten during championship wrestling and church picnics would add up to one profound puff. But you still wouldn't have a taste as big as these little Gino's pizza rolls. A tremendous taste of bestie pizza and a hot little bite-sized snack. A taste so big, it makes cheese puffs seem a little flat. Gino's pizza rolls, the pizza way to snack.
Some people think he's a Superman, but when a 44-year-old has to throw 75 fastballs, even Nolan Ryan's muscles can ache. So after the game, it's the medicine doctors recommend most for sprains and strains, Advil.
For me, it's a couple of Advil, and those muscle aches are long gone. And Advil's gentler on my stomach than aspirin.
Today, it isn't aspirin or Tylenol acetaminophen. It's Advil.
I feel ready to go another 9 innings.
Advil, tablets and caplets, advanced medicine for pain.
Time for a strike. If you're Tony Westlake, he's down by 24, but he is on a strike.
Well, it's one of these points in a match where you have to do something. The match can change on this shot.
More speed and high it runs. Just no answer for him on lane 20.
Well, you know, a couple of 10 pins over there, and then the split, the light split in the fifth frame, and that's the adjustment for that. And Firpo hasn't got a double yet, but just cruising right along, comfortably ahead.
While we're on the subject of Tony Westlake's game, I also perceive him, Mike, to be a player who stands up, decides what kind of shot he's going to throw, and then just throws it.
That's it. That's exactly
I mean,
right.
he's not guiding anything out there.
No. He lets it go. Should mention that if Joe Firpo continues strike spare all the way out, he shoots an even 200 and gets 5 free games of bowling from the local center. And
that's right, the Dutch 200.
Right.
ABC sends him a patch.
Right.
Westlake with a strike, but if you don't put 2 of them together, you can't pick up any ground.
Well, the good news is he only has to bowl 1 more frame on lane 20. The bad news is that may be the last time he bowls on lane 20. He may be headed on home.
Or to Edmond, Oklahoma.
Right. High. Ooh, well, an opening here. The 3-9-10. Let's see how he shoots this. Usually when you make that 9-pin in there, then you have to throw a hook at it in order to get the split. Trying to get it out wide, and he doesn't get it anywhere near. He's 3 boards left of where he should be. Right through the heart of the pins, and there's the result. Moves left. Throws the hook. It's coming in. Oh, it just missed the 3-pin. And suddenly, a very opportune time turns into a 10-pin match. And right now, ironic how the game of bowling is. If Joe doesn't strike on this shot, Tony Westlake can strike out and lock him out.
And you better believe that Tony's very much aware of that. What a turnaround. It was a 24-pin lead heading into the 8th. Now it's just 10. Oh, worst break of the week. A quality shot for Firpo, who tried to bounce back from the open frame, and now he leaves the pocket 7-10.
And Westlake sits on the bench, struggling, hasn't had a double, and takes the lead. Unless he can pull a just stay rook here and make this. Watch the light hit. There it is. We've seen it a lot. Looks like that pin's going to get it and doesn't do it. At the 10. Didn't bounce out this time.
I'd have fainted if that had come out and made that. I would have. You'd had to finish the show.
I'd have been in trouble then.
Wasn't that something when Jeff Saybrook made a 710?
Sure he was.
Really incredible. Well, Westlake, who was just about ready to call the airlines and pack the bags, now all of a sudden says, I think I'll stick around for lunch, especially if he doubles here. This has been the tough lane. Oh, the quality shot. And Westlake down on one knee says, that's a double. I'll take the lead. And they didn't win this game.
And one more, and it's history. Wants a re-rack on the left lane. And again, the rule is there that in order to get the re-rack, it has to be his first order of business. They're only allowed 2. And he made it his first order of business.
And now he's used up both available re-racks.
Didn't strike the last time. Let's see what he does this time. The last one was in the 3rd frame, where he left the 10-pin. For the win.
Ooh, 7-pin wiggles, 3-pin fell. Boy, you could see he was juiced up on that shot. Some serious velocity on that toss.
You're right. The situation is, though, he makes the 7-pin and strikes. He finishes, I think, with 185, and Firpo could strike out for 185. So anything's still in the offering here.
Joe just trying to stay cool.
In the offing. I keep saying that, the offering.
It's fine, Mike. You're allowed 2 re-racks every show.
Thanks.
I had the state capitol being completed in 1988.
Well, they've been working on the road out here longer than that.
For 12 years, so. 185 if he strikes. This is a key shot.
Hard to imagine 185 to win a game out here, but it's been happened before.
Softer speed. See, that's the shot he wanted to throw in the 10th.
It seems different people react different ways. Under pressure, some people throw harder. Joe Berardi was always that way. Under pressure, some people throw softer. Ease up on that speed, and it goes through the heart of the pin. See what Joe does here. Pretty good speed.
Excellent shot. That's the first one. Now he takes a look over and says, all right, I need 2 more.
I think he's asking for a re-rack before the pins came down.
Well, he's buying time then.
I don't know. He pointed something over here and said something. He did. He asked for a re-rack. I did read his lips correctly. He hadn't even looked at the pins. And he wanted a re-rack. You're definitely buying time.
Well, sure he is. Deep breath. Bring the heart rate back down. Step up. Same motion, same shot.
That's that mental approach, that attitude that he's been working on. Has to hurry. He trusted it, but it just didn't make it back. And Tony Westlake comes back from the dead and with 1 double, wins the match.
Solid effort by Firpo. You have to admire the fact that he was able to come up there, throw the first one, and give the second one a good run on a tough pair of lanes right now. So Westlake will move on. Firpo will accept 4th place money this week, which is $6,000. And Tony Westlake will take on Brian Voss coming up next. But before we get to that semifinal match, we'll get a chance to preview this year's Bowler's Journal All-America team. So stay tuned. You'll all be interested in the 53rd All-America team.
Queen takes pawn.
7-Up, the cool spot.
They ate the same lunch, got the same heartburn, but his antacid is very different. His Tums has calcium. Most antacids don't. Regular Rolaids uses an aluminum salt. This uses aluminum and magnesium. So does this. Of all these, only Tums helps wipe out heartburn and gives you calcium you need every day.
Something my body needs anyway. I like that.
Calcium-rich Tums. That's the one you want.
Welcome back to Austin, Texas. And each year the Bowlers Journal assembles its All-American teams, both for the men and the women. They have a first team, a second team, and a third team. And each year on ESPN, since I've been working the telecast, since back in 1986, we've always previewed and given the folks a sneak look at who has made this year's team. And so we'll take a look at the gentleman we left with at that last commercial. He made the telecast here this afternoon, so it's kind of apropos that he would be on the first team, Parker Bohn III.
Parker had, they go from June to June. And
right.
He had 2 wins in that period of time. He had 6 top 5 finishes, made $135,000. And interesting, you look at Parker from last year, and you can see a little more maturity this year, but he had more strikes and more wins last year.
And also joining Parker Bohn on the first team is another southpaw, a guy that we have seen bowl exceptionally well, not only on ESPN this summer, but throughout the entire season from Mount Clemens, Michigan, John Mazda.
And in that time frame, John had 3 wins with 8 top 5 appearances, made $126,000, went from being never heard of to a household name, and maybe his most famous shot that he made was this year in Sunrise, Florida. And you see him putting his last 2 fingers in there. He's just throwing hard at the 710, but watch what happens. Everybody goes crazy when they make the 710, and John may be remembered more for that than any other shot in his career.
And, of course, last week or a couple of weeks ago, he told Jess Stayrock, okay, now you're the 710 guy. I can go back to being a regular player. Also on the first team, Amleto Monticelli, who during that 12-month period, Michael, has earned better than $203,000.
And back-to-back PBA Player of the Year award. Amleto, whose physical regimen on the PBA Tour is equal by none, has just blossomed into a tremendous star on the PBA Tour with this unusual lawnmower style that results in a lot of strikes.
And you go from a player like Amleto, who has that unleash him type hook it from one end of the lane to the other, to one of the classic players ever on the PBA Tour from Vidor, Texas, David Ozio, who's had a sensational season.
David is a study in hard work, and it's all come to fruition this year as he's just really blossomed with 3 wins, over $185,000. You watch David, and you can't get enough of it. He's so pretty to watch bowl. Watch that follow through. Throws a lot of shots like that, Dan.
And, of course, has already captured the Firestone Tournament of Champions this season. And the captain of the first team out of Florissant, Missouri, Pete Weber, who also has amassed more than $200,000 in that 12-month period.
One of only 3 players to win bowling's Triple Crown. Won his second U.S. Open earlier this winter. 5 titles in this time frame, over $200,000 in earnings. The high backswing and the powerful ball.
And nobody swings the gutter better than Pete Weber. So that's a look at the first team. As far as the men are concerned, let's move over to the ladies' side now. And we'll start with Donna Adamek of Apple Valley, California, a player that I'm very familiar with, and a player that's really might come back and made a great comeback effort for some physical injuries that she's had over the last 4 or 5 years. Over the last decade, she's been one of the best women players in the world.
And you watch this style here from the outside, the ball coming in there. Hey, she knows how to trip the 4.
Trip the 4, carry the 10, and just about everything else. Also joining Donna on the BJ All-American first team is the twister from Oklahoma City, Lee Ann Barrett. Michael, she can just flat turn that thing from one end to the other.
Made $94,000. A lot of money to be made right there. Pretty young lady.
Also with 3 championships this past year. Get a load of this shot, Michael. I know you haven't had too much of an opportunity to watch the ladies, but watch this one come back.
Well, she really snaps it through, doesn't she?
Yeah, she's still alive is right. Leanne Barrett on the first team. And joining her, the captain, nestled right in the middle of the top 5, Nikki Giannoulias, who right now, I think, may be the best player in terms of hitting one condition to another each and every week. She's got a great knowledge of the game and just works probably about as hard as David Ozio.
Well, you look at that intensity on the face. 5 wins in this time frame.
Good shot, good read. Finally fell, and another lady that also has won 5 times during that 12-month period is, well, many people will say the finest left-handed player in the world as far as the ladies are concerned, Tish Johnson.
And if I'm not mistaken, she's trained up the last 2 years with Amleto Monticelli to win the Cambridge doubles. Again, the look of intensity on the face, playing the outside line. Nice roll on that ball.
A very athletic player, Mike. Not only a great basketball player and softball player, but a terrific bowler as well. And rounding out the first-team women. Wendy Macpherson, one of very few ladies that have ever won the Triple Crown on the ladies' side of things.
And one win in this time frame, over $45,000 in earnings. I like her green skirts here.
I know one thing that she's been able to do, Mike, through the years is win the big events and bowl the quality matches when the heat is really on. So that's a look at the Bowlers Journal All-American team. And some outstanding play. And as we mentioned, there's a second and third team as well. Maybe sometime later on we'll get into those. When we come back, Mike will have an opportunity to chat with Scott Devers, the top seed here in Austin, Texas. He's looking to become the first player ever to win twice at Highland Lanes.
Let's go! Down in front, up for the wave. You're the greatest, you're a home run, babe. Pour it on, keep the drive alive. Give me a bun and a big high five. Yeah, nothing beats our best Budweiser. Nothing beats a bud. So let's go stand cheer with the king of beer. Ice cold Budweiser. Nothing beats a bud.
If you added up all the potato chips you've eaten during poker nights and playoff games, you'd end up with some serious spuds. But you still wouldn't have a taste as big as these little Gino's pizza rolls. Ooh, a tremendous taste of zesty pizza and a hot little bite-sized snack. A taste so big, it makes ordinary chips seem like small potatoes. Gino's Pizza Rolls, the pizza way to snack.
If it happens in baseball, you'll see it on ESPN.
There he goes. He leaves. He makes the catch.
See Tuesday night doubleheaders, Wednesday night excitement, Friday night twin bills, and exclusive Sunday night action. The Red Sox are trying to turn things around, led by the bat of all-star Wade Boggs. Frank Thomas and the White Sox stand in their way. Live at 8 Eastern on ESPN Sunday Night Baseball.
And with me, the tournament leader this week, man who averaged .235 last night for his final 8 games. He was the winner of this event in 1988, Scott Devers. Scott, you have a chance to be the first PBA player to win the Austin Open twice. What are your feelings about that?
Well, actually, I've got 2 tough competitors that's upcoming, and it's going to be a tough match. So I'm going to take it as it comes, and hopefully I'll be the champion.
You won here in 1988. Why is Highland Lanes so good to Scott Devers?
Well, this place has a tendency to hook. It gives me a better entry into the pocket. It gives you a better carry, and it paid off last night.
Is this condition this year similar to the one in 1988?
Yeah, it's pretty similar. I feel like this year I swung the ball a little more than I did in '88. I had a little more drier boards on the outside, and so I think that gave me, like I said earlier, a better angle to the pocket for better carry.
Scott, over the years, a lot of very successful PBA players have had unusual styles, going way back to Don Carter with his bent arm style. Pete Weber, Triple Crown winner, has a backswing that nobody would recommend, way over his head. And you have an unusual style with a little bit of a figure 8 in your swing. How did you develop that style?
Well, actually, in my late teens, when I was practicing for the tour, I had a pretty straight swing, and I wanted to develop my swing, or my game to swing the ball. And in doing so, I bowled in the center with tight back ends, which wasn't very good. It created me to walk into my shot, and doing so, it made me bounce the ball off my arm, or off my leg, and you see it as it is today.
Yeah, but the important thing is that at the top of your swing, right on down, you're the same as anyone else.
You know, actually, I feel picture perfect. I know it looks really weird, but I do feel perfect.
You practice a lot. In fact, I understand that you actually have a stub lane in your house. Is that correct?
Yeah, I've got a 42-foot stub lane in my basement, and when I'm home, I don't really have that much time to practice, or I actually don't want to practice that much. So I felt like a lane stub in my basement would be more advantageous to me, so that way I get up in the morning and I don't really want to go to the center to practice. I just go downstairs and throw a few shots.
And if you don't do well, you can blame the lane man, who's you, huh?
Well, I look at it this way. I put a short oil pattern on the lane.
Okay, Scott. You know, bowling seems to be your main interest. However, I know your life must have other interests. What are some of those interests?
Well, just recently I got engaged, so I'm looking to getting married in May of next year, and hopefully starting a family. Actually, bowling has always been my dream, and it's still my dream to be the best bowler I can possibly be. And other than, you know, my fiancée and maybe a little bit of hacking on the golf course, bowling is it in my life.
What's her name? You want to say hello to her?
Hi, Jackie.
Hi, Jackie. Well, our next match is going to take on 10-time winner Brian Voss, 1988 PBA Player of the Year, going against the guy who came back from the dead, Tony Westlake. Don't go away.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're here at ringside for the fight card of the century. Over 40 of the greatest bouts ever. Now you can get ringside seats to this illustrious event. Sports Illustrated proudly presents history's greatest knockouts video with knockout commentary from Mike Tyson. And the video is free with your paid subscription to Sports Illustrated. Witness one of the greatest fights of all time, the Thriller in Manila. See one of the best knockdown drag-out fights in middleweight history. Watch Sugar Ray get his revenge in the unforgettable No Mas fight. You Rocky Marciano in his classic comeback against Jersey Joe Walcott. See Larry Holmes proudly and defiantly defend his heavyweight title. And you'll be knocked out when you hear that the video is free. Yes, history's greatest knockouts video is free when you subscribe to Sports Illustrated, the magazine that gives you jolting photos, hard-hitting stories, and the no-holds-barred truth week after week. And only Sports Illustrated gives you exclusives like the football preview issues and the 92 swimsuit issue. Call today and you can get it all at savings of over 55% off the cover price. You'll get 20 free issues for 3 easy monthly installments of $9.99 each. For faster delivery, use your credit card. Call now and witness the fight card of the century. Watch Foreman at his best and Lewis in his prime.
The left to the jaw by Lewis, pushing right to the jaw, and Khan slowly goes to the canvas.
See the infamous Phantom Punch and this famous welterweight title fight. Call today and see host Mike Tyson become the youngest fighter to ever win the heavyweight crown. Call to order or renew today. Use your credit card. Get knockout savings on Sports Illustrated and get history's greatest knockouts video free.
Welcome back to Austin, Texas, Highland Lanes. Tony Westlake and Brian Voss paired up here in this semifinal. Tony Westlake, as you mentioned, came out of nowhere to beat Joe Firpo.
Doesn't happen very often. Your opponent opened twice in a row like that and you take the lead. But Tony's still struggling.
Trying to stretch out a little bit after that long break in between games as he leaves the 3-6-10 in the opening shot.
185 to 175 there, 10-pin win.
Sounds like Tuesday night mixed league scores.
Well, maybe you and I bowling against one another.
Ah, there you go. Ooh, by an eyelash, the 3-pin falls, but Tony will take it. Although, you know, I mean, I like to see the high scores, but as long as the match is competitive, hey, they could have tied that match if Joe would have struck in the 11th and 12th.
Brian Voss, who has lengthened his span some, felt he had to hook the ball more and is trying to take that push away and push it slightly toward the center of his body.
First shot out of the box, and oh my, was it a dandy.
What he felt was happening with his swing was that he was pushing out straight, but as it came back by his leg, that it was bumping away in the backswing and causing a lot of errant shots. He feels, he got this tip from Norm Duke, by the way, that by pushing the ball slightly left, it kind of creates a little bit of a golf swing, comes around and is actually straighter coming through, and that's what we're looking for. From the top of that swing down.
Right, as long as you've got it within 3 or 4 inches in terms of that little loop, that's what you want, because if you can get it back on the inside, that's where you get the leverage. Voss comes out with a double, and the man who has not been seen nor heard of since January would like to open up and win this game.
Win it for Joshua, huh?
That's what he says. Westlake trying to play a little bit of a tighter line on lane 20, leaves the solid 4-pin. He's flirting with that head pin, Mike.
But he's moved in deeper, trying to move into the oil and play, like you say, a tighter line all the way. No swing or loop at all. Figures that only got him 180 last game, and the 180 won't win this game.
Couple of spares for Mr. Westlake, who now trails by 11 pins. That was interesting. Scott Devers with a stub lane in his basement.
Yeah, don't have to go to the center. Just practice right there.
You got to go down and set your own pins?
Wait, I didn't ask him if he's got a pin spotter back there. That's a good question.
We better talk to him about that. Could be part-time work for you, Michael.
Thanks, Ted. I'm busy enough as it is.
Oh, everything caved in around the 4-pin, but nothing touched it.
Well, again, Dan, in order to strike, the 1 pin has to hit the 2, and the 1 just clipped the 2 going back on that shot, going by on that shot. It just barely fell.
Tony, not one of these players that goes back to the room and laments about a bad round or talks about a great round. Likes to watch the soap operas. That's first and foremost entertainment-wise for him.
Is it really?
Oh, yeah. Anything you ever wanted to know, he could probably tell you. Oh, yeah, he's got them all.
As the world turns and all these?
Mm-hmm. As the ball turns.
Right, yeah.
For a 3-bagger, that was 3 or 4 boards left of the target, and let's hope that Brian had an opportunity to watch Mike Durbin's Average Builders. This is what was the feature today.
There it was. You know, with these hook and back ends, you leave this more and more and more and more. And we'll see how he approaches it. Whether he's moving left. Way left, and is going to throw, I would think, hard and straight. Trying to hook it into it, and oh, wow, takes the sit pin.
Brian turns around and says, how can I get just 1 out of a handful?
Oh, that's the type of situation that you could put those pins up there, and somebody would bet you $10 you can't get just 1, and you couldn't do it.
Well, it's trick shot time here in Austin.
Especially to take the 6. He thought it was going to hook up there and get the 3-pin and make the split.
Instead of being in the lead, now he trails by 11. Comes back strong, though, with a strike, so Voss will have to make amends for the open in the 3rd frame as he trails by 11 pins. We'll come back with more action. Here's one more look at the beautiful downtown skyline of Austin, Texas, a stark contrast to the western landscape that surrounds this beautiful city.
People depending on oil heat. We have a high-efficiency oil-fired warm air furnace. Our total heating cost for the past year was $250. That's only $20.83 a month.
We decided to go with oil heat because it's warmer, safer, and cleaner than other heat sources.
With my wife and kids taking showers and baths, it's nice to know with oil heat, I'll get a hot shower too. And I don't have to chop wood or carry coal like my neighbors.
Oil heat. Depend on it. Call the Oil Heat Council of Lancaster County for more information.
We went for a ride, and all of a sudden our car broke down.
The heater hose blew.
The next thing we knew, the fellow from Warner Cable was tapping on our car window.
And he told us to get into the van and he will give us a ride
He
home.
told me to sit up in front, and he had to sit back in the toolbox.
And he never even asked us if he had Warner Cable.
He really was a very nice young man.
Warner Cable. Great performances every day.
One of the good friends to the bowling industry, the president of Columbia 300, Mike Albritton, on hand. And he's not even going to get to pass out the money today. John Jowdy, PBA Hall of Famer, I think, is going to have the check or the trophy.
Oh, better not give him the microphone. You may not get it back.
Well, we might have some time to fill, so... Oh, no, not Jowdy for 10 minutes. A rocket to the pocket that time by Westlake, and now he leaves the whistling 10 as the 6-pin whipped around there in a big-time hurry. What do you do to strike? I mean, that's as good as you can throw it, pal.
Well, Voss has struck 3 out of 4, but he didn't get the spare. Interesting that Westlake has got 4 spares in this match, assuming he makes the 10-pin. And that's a correct assumption. No strikes, and he's ahead by 10 pins over Voss, who struck 3 out of 4 times.
That's why people watch this telecast.
Is that why?
Sure.
I thought they were watching just to listen to you.
No. That's a hindrance, perhaps. But it's an old joke, you know, when you talk about you getting the sports programming on television, and you ask how much it is without the sound. You ever heard that? Never mind. It's an old joke. We'll go into that later on sometime. Oh, my, not the big 4. Well, Tony shakes his head and realizes that he's just in between. If he doesn't make a dead perfect shot, he ends up with something like that.
Well, he may change his angle on that left lane, too, because he's not quite as deep. He's about the 12th or 13th board here, circling the ball more on this lane than he is the other lane, and nobody can seem to even get 8 out here.
Now, he's not talking about we're number 1. He's talking about the fact that he's just picked off 1 pin. He and Voss have put on an exhibition here.
Well, they certainly got a lighthearted attitude. I'll give him that.
What more could you have?
I don't know. Better speed.
Well, I know one thing. I like the way his ball is reacting right now.
Joshua says, Daddy, throw more of those. I need shoes.
Joshua Voss. Oh, there you go.
Oh, look at the look on the father's face.
Told me if he wins this one, it'll be for Joshua. Who more than likely will end up Josh, right?
Never know.
Josh Voss, Joshua Voss. I don't know. I like both of them. Leads by 17. Wants to make it 27. Oh, he's just crunching the pocket other than the 1 shot. And if he'd have watched the tip, he'd have made that.
He probably didn't watch, huh? Westlake watched.
I know he did.
Well, Tony's got to get it together. Again, he finds himself way behind halfway through the match.
He's right where he wants to be.
Right, he's got his opponent shaking in his boots.
Well, if anybody could mount a comeback, it would be this guy. But he needs to carry something. Flush hit, little high, turns around with a smile, and leaves the 4 pin.
He says, there's no strikes in that ball. I'm 0 for 6.
You used to throw that ball a lot, didn't you? Did you ever look down and say there are no strikes in this bowling ball and just put it away?
You would come back and say, all's forgiven, really.
No matter what I said last game, I just... Well, you're right. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised. These 2 guys are pretty relaxed in this semifinal game, but they're good friends.
And they've been through this before. Neither one of them's the type to really get uptight, especially Westlake.
Trailing by 27, Voss has hit the pocket 5 out of 6 frames, and his carry percentage is 100%. Holy mackerel, did you see the 4 pin go scooting out?
Did you hear Tony yell, carry?
Yeah. He wanted to strike badly, and he got it. He trails by 27, and we're looking now at the Marshall Ford Marina above the Mansfield Dam on the Colorado River. Texas is known worldwide for its water recreation and its great bowling at Highland Lanes.
The total number of cheese puffs that you've eaten during championship wrestling and church picnics would add up to 1 profound puff. But you still wouldn't have a taste as big as these little Gino's pizza rolls. A tremendous taste of zesty pizza and a hot little bite-sized snack. A taste so big, it makes cheese puffs seem a little flat. Gino's Pizza Rolls, the pizza way to snack.
August on ESPN. Line drive base hits. Crushing late hits. Campus scenes. Childhood dreams. Booming drives. Splashing dives. Forehand smashes. Out of control crashes. Bruising fights. And SportsCenter every night. All in August on ESPN. Can the magic of Nigel Mansell continue? After 2 consecutive wins, he closes in on Ayrton Senna for the points lead. They battle through the woods of Hockenheim at the Grand Prix of Germany. Sunday morning, live on ESPN.
Something has to be wrong with this PBA millionaire list. Your name is not on it.
No, it's not on it.
How about if we double your earnings? Would you have been in the group then?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I would have been on it then.
Anthony Roth, Holman, Weber, and Albee have all amassed earnings in excess of $1 million. Pretty impressive. And now let's take a look at the guys that are still trying harder.
And Ambletto, amazingly, how fast he's earning money. It won't be long before he's over. Brian Voss wins today, and he would be within 40,000. So,
And winning is what is on his mind right now. Has a 3-bagger working and leads by 27.
Trying to stay away from the big mistake. Well, again, just the 3-6-10 this time. Doesn't have the company. Sent that one wider with less speed, and it reacted to the dry part of the lane right to the heart of the pins.
Think he's aware of the fact that that one was with less speed?
Yeah, I think he probably was thinking about it. That happens frequently coming back out of a break. Either throws too hard or too soft because you've lost that rhythm, that feel a little bit. Hard and straight.
Has had a interesting year in terms of his bowling and his personal life. Trying to make the transition. Marriage, fatherhood, and owning a home, and I think he'll probably do that pretty easily.
Well, I think Brian can do pretty much anything he sets his mind to do. He seems a very focused young man and very quality person.
Nine pin. Well, we saw Parker Bohn leave a solid 8. Now we've had the solid 9 left.
And Tony's in a situation that he was in last game, although his opponent didn't open twice here this time. He got 2 spares, but if Tony steps up and throws 2 more strikes, we got a close match. At the 9 pin, should present no problem. Hard and straight.
Westlake down by 23, but he does have a strike up in the 7th, so if he gets a few things accomplished here, he's right back in the match.
And he was in this situation last game when he was the 9th frame on this lane. He got his first strike. 8th frame here, looking for his first strike on lane 20.
Deeper. He just keeps moving along.
He doesn't give up, that's for sure. That cuts it to 13. One more cuts it to 3, and it sets him up for the 10th frame.
More importantly, though, I think by moving to the left now, he's found a shot on the right-hand lane, so if he has to finish there in the 10th, at least he's going to stand up knowing that he can hit the pocket.
That's as much time as I've seen him take for any shot. He put his leg up there, got his thoughts together, and bingo, here he goes.
Needs it badly. Ooh, good shot.
Watched his follow-through. It's just a little short and a little quick, indicating that he just didn't quite catch all of it at the bottom of the swing. Yeah. That's why the 10 pin stood.
Another good friend of yours and mine, Vice President of Marketing for Columbia 300, Connie Smoot.
Good friend of bowling.
Yeah, she always comes out on the ladies' tour and gives out the hardware and the check. Always nice to see Connie. Well, the home office isn't too far from here, down in San Antonio. That's why we've got all the Columbia folk with us here today.
And the fact that they're sponsoring this tournament.
Well, sure. But it's just a drive up the highway. Well, there are shots that you have to make to win matches and to get to a title match, and that one was about as clean as you could execute it.
And right now, that puts him in a nice situation that all he needs to do is fill 17 pins in the 10th frame, a spare and 7, and he's going to move on. Strike, of course, locks it up, and that's what he's looking for. Ooh, I like to see a replay of that because he had a lot of them. Tony Westlake holds up both hands and says, I give.
I surrender. The towel has been thrown in.
Watch this. It snakes right through the 1, 2, 3. Double pinnacles up there, and they all fall. And Brian says, "Woo, ooh, thank you."
He really struggled last night. Just to give you some idea, folks, Scott Devers was 312 pins behind when they started the final 8 games last night, and he caught Voss. As a matter of fact, he was 94 pins behind going into the final game. And Brian left here last night with a little bit of a depressed attitude. This should have been a tournament that he led all the way from the second round, and he ended up giving back that top seed position. Now he's got to come back today and get the job done.
And winds up the game with 2 doubles and a turkey to shoot 2-0.
Never one to waste any time. Of course you can strike now. See, I told you, the right-hand lane, he made the adjustment. If he had struck on the left-hand lane, could have been a different match.
Should have definitely been. Of course, you've got the secret for these guys when we're doing the opening, taping that ahead of time, you know, that you're betting them whatever, that they can't get 9.
They can't get 9.
And they never get 9. They always strike.
That's right. Pros are trained to strike. So whenever I try and bet them a Diet Coke or a cheeseburger, they just can't get 9. Then they get on the show and they get 9s the whole afternoon.
Crazy game, right?
A good sport, that Tony Westlake. He'll take third place money, which this week is $7,500, and he'll head back to his neck of the woods, Oklahoma City. Nope, make that Edmond, I should say.
199. Finishes with 5 out of 6 strikes, but he just got started too late.
That 10-pin in the 9th was the telling story, because we could have had a tie very possibly here in the semifinal. 209 to 199. Tony Westlake finishes up third, and Brian Voss will advance to take on the top seed, Scott Devers.
All across the USA, as long as we've been around, our passengers are our neighbors. This country's our hometown. Every time we fly, every mile of sky, everything we do, USA, USA begins with you.
Do you know what open-end mutual funds are?
The Wall Street Journal Guide to Understanding Money and Markets tells you in clear, simple English.
Do you know how to spot trends in stocks?
And what stock options are?
And zero coupon bonds?
And the difference between Treasury bills and Treasury notes?
Everything you want to know about the sometimes baffling world of money and investing is in this remarkable 120-page book. And now it's yours free when you subscribe to the Wall Street Journal. Call now and you can have 13 weeks of the Wall Street Journal and this valuable 120-page Guide to Understanding Money and Markets. That's 13 weeks of the Journal for the news and ideas you need every business day. And this guide free, which tells you everything you want to know about money and markets, all for only $37, a 24% savings off the newsstand price. Call now, toll-free, 800-332-1800. That's 800-332-1800 for today's Wall Street Journal.
Championship Frame is brought to you by Midas. For mufflers, brakes, and shocks, nobody beats Midas. Nobody. And let's move on to first game action here at Highland Lanes. It was Joe Firpo with a key shot in the 9th.
This was going to make it 13. Basically locked the match up, and it was as good a shot as he made the whole game. Playing between the second and third arrow, sending it out wide. Ball finishes plus in the 1-3. And Joe moved on for match number 2 with that victory. There's his reaction.
Yeah, I was going to say big victory for Joe is one that he had to come back and get the job done in the 10th frame. As you see, he finished with a final 6 strikes to shoot .235 and defeat Parker Bohn, who ended up with 170.
And that was the highest game that Joe Firpo's ever bowled on national television.
Yeah, first time he's been over 220. So that was the end of game number 1. Let's move on to the second match that featured Tony Westlake and Joe Firpo.
And Tony here bowling in the 10th frame. Needed a strike to force Firpo to get 3 in the 10th. This is his fill ball. If he strikes here, he finishes with 185. Doesn't finesse it at all. Zips it right through there. Tight line. Solid in the 1-3. And Firpo couldn't answer the challenge, so Westlake moved on.
Might point out that Joe Firpo threw the first shot in the 10th and then couldn't get a 7-pin to fall in the 11th frame. So a couple of opens for Firpo in the 8th and the 9th spelled disaster as Westlake won a low-scoring affair, 185 to 175, which brought us at that point in time to the semifinal match between Tony Westlake and Brian Voss.
And Brian Voss needed the first strike in the 10th to lock the match up. Actually, he needed a spare in 7, but the best kind of lockup is the strike, playing close to the first arrow. As long as he keeps the speed firm, the ball holds pocket. And it didn't hold too much, but they all fell. It's not how, it's how many, Dennis.
And the final score of the semifinal game coming up next is Brian Voss was very pleased with the major league break that he had in the 10th frame. Ended up 209 to 199 as Tony Westlake struck out in the 10th frame. So that's a look at championship frame. Let's move on now to some of the other numbers that were provided throughout the week. The field was 160 players, and the average to make the finals, Mike, 217.
That's pretty high, Dan. Average to cash took a whole 210. TV pair average only 205, and that's about what we're going at today.
One of the things that we've talked about is the fact that they've held 10 tournaments here at Highland Lanes, and there's never been a player that's ever won twice, although Scott Devers will try and accomplish that today.
Well, you see a number of outstanding players there. Pete Weber, Marshall Holman, both players of the year at one time. Gary Skidmore won way back in 1982. Then left-handers and right-handers. 3 left-handers that I see in there right away.
One of the great shows that we've ever had, too, was when Kent Wagner struck out to beat Phil Ringner right here on this pair of lanes. That was fun. Let's take a look now at the money leaders, the way they have stacked up near the midpoint of the summer. David Ozio leading the way with 166, and Leto Monticelli has only bowled, I think, 18 events. He's second right now.
And he's moved just $20 ahead of Pete Weber there, but they're still quite a ways behind David Ozio. He's still got to be in the lead for Bowler of the Year or Player of the Year race.
Tell you what, the rest of the summer is going to be fun. Of course, the fall tour with this Bowler of the Year race could be a real scream.
Well, we've got just a number of players that have that opportunity. Norm Duke won last week, and when you talked to him about that, he said, hey, it's not out of reach for me yet. So he's got confidence. It should be an exciting run to the finish for all of those players.
You and I have been talking a great deal about the Player of the Year race. Of course, there's also a Rookie of the Year race on the PBA Tour, and there are several players right now that are in the hunt with a shot, perhaps, at becoming the 1991 PBA Rookie of the Year.
Well, Ricky Ward was on the national telecast a couple of weeks ago. He finished second or third in that. Tracy Lambert, the nice-looking young player with Bob Powell. These players haven't made a whole lot of money and haven't gotten a lot of exposure. Ricky Ward with 18,000. But the players, when they vote on that, Dan, look at performances over the whole year. Consistency is very important to the trained players.
Norm Duke bowling right now at a 220.38 pace. Those are some impressive numbers here in 1991.
Well, the last person to average 220 was the great Mark Roth, I think, back in 1979. Some outstanding averages there, 218, both for Weber and Walter Ray.
And the cashers on the 1991 PBA Tour, Parker Bohn with 20, and Dave Husted leading with 21. And one thing before we head to a commercial break here, let's chat just a moment about the title match here between Brian Voss and Scott Devers. Voss, I think, has an excellent ball reaction. If he makes good shots, he can strike. What about Scott Devers?
Scott Devers appears to be playing a very tight line and has a narrow target area. In other words, he doesn't have a lot of room out there, but he doesn't need a lot of room. So I think the advantage is with Voss, but Scott Devers is a very confident young man.
And a player who has won, I believe, 3 of his 4 titles from the top seat position. So when we come back to Highland Lanes, it'll be Brian Voss and Scott Devers. And, of course, we'll also take a look at the top 24, the way they finished up here in the Columbia 300 Open this week in Austin, Texas.
How do I know where to get my brakes done right?
Come to Midas. You get a lot of value for the price, and you get something else. Peace of mind. Knowing you get a thorough inspection by Midas-trained experts and a written estimate up front. Knowing every brake shoe and pad is guaranteed for as long as you own your car, and knowing the job will be done right. That's why more people come to us for brakes, knowing that nobody beats Midas. Nobody.
The finest natural ingredients, then brewed and aged with extra care for that clean, crisp, cold taste. The taste only Budweiser can deliver.
And we'll toast and cheer with the king of beers.
The king of beers.
Nothing beats a Bud.
Defending champion Bob Hanley made a heck of a run at the telecast last night, Michael. Ended up 6th. Purvis Granger, who's done nothing but make the finals over the last month or so, just couldn't quite get to the telecast.
Well, he's getting closer all the time, though, Denny. 3,600 is not bad. Don Mosier and the great Marshall Holman finished ninth.
Marshall, a past champion here at Highland Lanes. Rounding out the top 10, Chris Warren, who was a winner this past week.
And Brad Kazuski, the current Rookie of the Year. From Cleveland, David DeInterman, and of course the chairman of the PBA's tournament committee, Steve Wunderlich, who bowled 300 this week.
Yeah, there were 4 300 games. Mark Williams, former Firestone champion, and Danny Wiseman, who's had a very solid year on the PBA Tour.
And Mark also being a fellow Texan here. Not that I'm a Texan, but that he is.
From the Lone Star State.
Nice young player. Mark Turney throws a nice ball. Wayne Webb still trying to get to that $1 million mark. Added $1,900 to it this week.
Been a good bowling center for him through the years here at Highland Lanes. Tom Kreitz, healthy once again in the number 18 position.
Billy Orlikovsky, a good-looking young player. I think people are going to hear from him in the future.
Led this tournament after, what, the first or second round this week. As we look on down from 20 to 21, Bob Benoit and my good old buddy, PBA Hall of Famer Gary Dickinson.
He's just going to keep bowling right up till he's eligible for the senior tour, right?
Watch out when GD heads to that senior tour. Del Ballard Jr. In the finals one more time, and Greg Kemp as well.
And number 24, Ryan Shafer, former PBA Rookie of the Year.
And there's a look at the beautiful trophy. And a $21,000 check will also be awarded to the winner of this year's Columbia 300 Open. Beavers practicing, preparing for one final match when we return.
I don't think we can afford it. It's got everything we want. Automatic air,
What did you talk about before we got here?
Well, maybe she could work something out.
Oh, sometimes you are so naive.
It's not, are you? Here she comes.
So, you folks really like the Regal.
Look.
We can only afford $340 per month.
We're $350.
Honey,
Oh.
please, $340, and we only have $800 to put down.
How does no money down and $299 a month sound?
A Buick Regal for $299 per month? Come on, what do you take us for?
How about a test drive?
The Buick Regal, $299 a month for 36 months.
It's the bottom of the ninth. Bases are loaded. And here's your chance to bring the Phillies home. Order Prism now and get 2 free Phillies tickets plus installation for as low as $4.95. Prism, exclusive coverage of the Phillies, Flyers, and Sixers. Plus smash hit movies like Presumed Innocent, Flatliners, and Die Hard 2. Order Prism now. Call 1-800-CABLE-91 to get 2 free Phillies tickets and installation for as low as $4.95. But hurry, this offer won't go into extra innings.
If it happens in baseball, you'll see it on ESPN.
There he goes. He leaves. He makes the catch.
See Tuesday night doubleheaders, Wednesday night excitement, Friday night twin bills, and exclusive Sunday night action. The Red Sox are trying to turn things around, led by the bat of all-star Wade Boggs. Frank Thomas and the White Sox stand in their way. Live at 8 Eastern on ESPN Sunday Night Baseball.
Boy, look at Durbin's overhead there. Unbelievable. And I didn't realize you were even playing in this year's Canadian Open.
You think that looks like me? Is that what you're saying?
Back in like 1960, perhaps. Of course, coming up, men's semifinal action from the 1991 Canadian Open from Montreal. And, of course, right after that, we've got the Budweiser Racing Across America Series, the Haskell Invitational from Monmouth Park in Oceanport, New Jersey, just around the corner from where Chuck Pisano lives in Clifton. That starts at 5 o'clock Eastern Time. And, of course, next week, I should say a week and a half for us, it'll be a Thursday night telecast, August 8th, the championship round finals of the $130,000 LeMode Classic live from Red Carpet Lanes in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Up there in Packer country.
That's right. They'll be in training camp. That's part of the fun of going every year. I usually stop into Lambeau and watch a training session or two. Of course, my Browns are starting to prepare for this coming season. Brand new coach, new attitude. Tough schedule.
And Brian Voss says he has a new push-away.
Worked pretty well in the semifinal. Let's see what happens in the title match. 6-pin just whistles around the 10.
And you see Brian grimace at that already. He wanted to get out of the gate quick and just get ahead in this match early.
Thing that's so interesting about this game is that sometimes your best shots end up in 10 pins. And you go out there and throw a so-so shot, and the 6-pin kind of lays around, comes out of the gutter, and hits the 10.
Well, that's happened to all of us.
The key is to make sure that you convert the 10, which Brian Voss does, to open up the title game. Didn't take long. Ball was already in hand.
Well, since the 25-second rule, these guys don't fool around. You know, it costs them 100 the first time and 1,000 after that. So.
Devers, with that excellent concentration, opens up with a strike as he kicks out the 6.
Trip of that 6-pin right away, playing close to the second arrow. Loop in that swing really pronounced right now, but when we get a chance to look at him, if we can look at him from behind, you'll see that from the top of that swing right on down, Dan, he's like anybody else. As we see Vice President of Sales at Columbia, Brian Flanner, who his wife is expecting, have a baby in January.
Mm-hmm. Devers for the double, and that is the way you like to open up, from the top seat position.
Oh, especially, you know, because, you know, you've been waiting for over an hour and a half to come over here and bowl, and all kinds of thoughts and feelings going through your mind, and Brian Voss is taking a little extra time. That clock is ticking on him, although he asked for a re-rack, so actually it won't start until the pins come back up now. But anyway, you get those first 2 frames and strike right away, and then you can get into the rhythm of the game.
We could see something special here in the final game.
Brian looking at the rack. Watch how long he stays right behind this ball. Not a lot of side turn, but heavy lift with the fingers. And you see the finish on that. Brian's into this match. He is thinking, Joshua, this one's for you.
Trying for the double, and again, the 6-pin around the 10.
And he was looking at the 10 all the way. Brian, who has not lost a game on television this year, Denny, he's 5-0.
Made 2 quality shots on lane 19, and he shot 300 in the 3rd round this week. Probably didn't throw the shots any better than those 2.
Interesting, too. And then his first shot in the 10th frame against Tony wasn't that good and did strike, so.
Waited around for a moment to make sure that the sphere stayed on the surface.
Never a doubt.
$21,000 for first. If you lose this match, it's a $12,000 payday.
Tony Westlake took home $7,500. Not a lot of enthusiasm for Scott Devers. He just keeps throwing strikes. Now, Scott, who feels like he's not getting the recognition because of his style. But see at the top now, right here. It goes right straight through. He doesn't look any different than anybody else right there. And watch the follow-through. Right straight through it at that point. He's as accurate as anybody on the tour.
And with the back ends the way they are right now, that ball's hitting awful hard.
And, oh, I thought he was going to get it. That other pin held it up.
First errant shot of the 4. It looks like if Scott sets it a little short, it'll run high.
Well, there's not a lot of area for either player right now.
Big break, though, in that he left just the 4-pin. A spare here gives him a 19-pin lead. For Brian Voss, though, he's probably thinking, well, thank goodness the streak ended at 3. If I come up here and throw a double, I can get his attention.
I'm not out of the match. I mean, he could be 30 pins down stepping up here. As it is, he's 19 down.
Been in this situation many times, so he knows what he has to do.
Good speed. Well, now I just got to get that 10-pin on. See, what happens, though, in a player's mind many times, Dan, is they make those quality shots and they think, well, I've got to do something just a little bit different to get that 10-pin out, and then there's real trouble. So he just needs to throw the same shot that he's been throwing on this lane. Even more room.
Watched it all the way and then has a little point, a little taunt of the finger there at the 10-pin. Jerry Ray, the proprietor here at Highland Lanes, and of course he's the president of Family Sports Centers, and they own 4 bowling centers in the greater Austin area.
Great supporter of the PBA. That's high again.
Now watch, if we could see the replay of this one, do you see how quickly Devers was up at the line? They almost stood straight up on that shot.
And you see what happens when you do that, Dan. When you don't stay down with that shot, the ball doesn't go on line. And right here, if he misses by a little bit, the ball's not going in the 1-2. Not an easy spare. Although he's a very good spare shooter. Ooh, and misses it. And Brian Voss takes the lead sitting on the bench.
Amazing. The picture of confidence came out and threw 3 of the best shots that you could hope to throw in a title situation. And then made an errant shot in the 4th, and then this miscue in the 5th.
On the outside, and the 4-pin goes right around the 7. Sometimes you can luck out and make it that way. Scott didn't get the break. More speed.
Catches the wall shot in the 6th, but the damage has already been done.
Scott not happy with himself. 2 errant shots right through the heart of the pins both times, but missing the spare. That's big thing. Hi. Oh, it's Brian's day, I think, Dennis.
Those 2 10-pins that wouldn't fall, he'll gladly keep those where they are because this is the break of the tournament.
Similar to the shot in the 10th frame. Watch the left side and right side, you both hit. There's the 4-7 going, and now the 10-pin goes very late. And his reaction?
A smattering of pins all over the deck, but what it transforms into is a 15-pin advantage and a 3-bagger for the 1988 Player of the Year, Brian Voss. And you knew he was going to take advantage of that big-time break.
He didn't win 10 titles not taking advantage like that.
So Devers, who was the model of consistency early on in this match, he's got to, at this point, just pull himself back together and make a couple of quality shots.
I mean, again, this is a situation in the match where he almost has to strike on this shot, man.
He's on a strike and needs another, and he gets it. Slaps out the 7-pin.
Good roll on that ball to get the 7. One more, and he cuts it down to 5 pins. And he answers Brian Voss's double. Again, though, the swing loops out, through, left of that second arrow. Watch the 4-pin. Knocks out that 7.
Could trim that lead down to just 5 with an X here in the 8th frame.
Definitely would get Voss's attention with one more. Tight. On the Brooklyn. Just wouldn't trust it under the pressure. Only the 4-pin spare, an easy spare, keeps it within reason right now with 3 frames to go.
One of just 2 players on the telecast who has a winning record in the championship round. The other, Brian Voss.
Brian with an opportunity to put this match away. Next couple of shots can increase it to 26 and then 36.
Well, he still has a possible 270. He has 6 strikes each on 19 and 20.
And you have to do better than that. That's Steady Eddie. Or Steady Brian.
Oh, good shot. Oh, that 6-pin. And Brian just moaning with that shot. You can't throw it much better.
It's amazing how the strike in the 6th frame does fall, and this one does. Watch the 6. See, whistle stayed low, too, Dan. It stayed low right around that 10-pin. It didn't go high. Oh, this game drives a pro bowler crazy.
So much fun to see that 6-pin in slow motion because it happens pretty quickly, but If you've had the eye trained for it, as you and the other professionals have for all those years, the moment it hits, you know what's happened.
Well, the situation, though, becomes, you know, that if Scott Devers could strike out, he can finish the game with 234. That's going to make Voss a double somewhere. So it's a player that can perform in the 9th and 10th here is going to win the match. A lot of room.
A lot of speed. Woo! Quality shot for Voss, who waves off all 10 pins on lane 19. So he has set the table.
3 solid 10s, Reed, out of the first 9.
He's bowled a beautiful game.
Scott has to respond now. This is how you win titles on the PBA Tour. He's done it before. We watched him do it in Tucson a few years back. High again. Just won't trust it. Got to send that ball to the left, and that's not his game. We heard him talk about in the interview how he kind of used to having tight back ends and pointing that ball up here. Swing falls into the slot, but he kind of comes up, like you said, a little too quick, and that ball heads right through the nose. At the 2-4.
Well, 222 if he strikes out.
You see the difference, 17 pins right there, and Scott Devers has to strike out. Or Brian Voss won't even need a mark in the 10th frame because he can't lose count with the strikeout.
And Brian now realizes he doesn't have to double in the 10th to win the match.
More room.
You're right. It'll be interesting to talk to Scott after the telecast is over to find out if he just didn't bowl particularly well, because it seemed that if he threw the ball in the area that he wanted to and made a good clean shot, that he had an excellent reaction.
Well, he hasn't been tapped yet that I can see. He's got 6 strikes in this match, can get to 2 more to have 9 strikes, and could still lose. Or 8 strikes he can wind up with. Has to have this one. Tie again.
Well, that's been the common denominator for Scott Devers here in this afternoon's title match. He opened with 3 strikes in a row. It looked like he was just going to blow Voss right off this pair of lanes, and this one turned around as Voss put together a 4-bagger from the 4th through the 7th.
Well, you know, in the bios, the left-handers only averaged 2-0 on this pair, and the right-handers averaged much better than that, close to 220. So it's been a better right-handed pair all week long, and it's proved to be that way on the telecast. 212 he finishes with. Brian's just basically got to show up and keep the ball in the lane and stay behind the foul line, and he's going to win. That's a winner.
Voss has been a man that's taken care of opportunities. Had a chance to win earlier this year, won 4 matches out in Pinole to capture that tournament. Now he comes back today from the number 3 position, wins 2 games, and he's 2 for 2 in the title match this year.
And he's undefeated on television. What a game he bowled. Solid 10 in the 1st, 3rd, and 8th, or he'd have them all. And one more for good measure.
Oh, he smiled after leaving that solid 10. Well, obviously a smile when you've won the tournament. For Scott Devers, an opportunity, I think, that got away from him. Although, as you mentioned, Brian bowled such a sensational game that Scott would have had to be at his best. But this week, the champion is Brian Voss. And we'll be back to talk with Brian Voss, who now has 11 career PBA titles, when we return to Austin, Texas.
At the first tickly itch of athlete's foot, Desonex. Killing those grungy fungi before they get racket and burning. Go get that can now, or else don't blame Desonex.
If you added up all the potato chips you've eaten during poker nights and playoff games, you'd end up with some serious spuds. But you still wouldn't have a taste as big as his Little Gino pizza rolls. Ooh, a tremendous taste of zesty pizza and a hot little bite-sized snack. A taste so big, it makes ordinary chips seem like small potatoes. Gino's Pizza Rolls, the pizza way to snack.
First, toothpaste came in tubes, then in unsqueezable pumps. Now, there's Neat Squeeze from Crest. Squeezes easily like a tube with the control of a pump and a pullback feature that makes brushing a lot less messy and a lot more fun. The new Neat Squeeze from Crest.
I watched what I ate, worked out on my Easy Glider, and lost 75 pounds.
And this is actual footage of Keith's home video showing his dramatic weight loss.
All across America, people have found that 20 minutes every other day works to firm all major muscle groups and helps to lose weight aerobically.
I'm using my arms, my shoulder, my back, my tummy, my thighs, my legs. I get it all.
Dual resistance allows you to adjust tension for both legs and upper body.
I have tried bikes, jogging, even racquetball, and Easy Glider is definitely the best.
And this handsome unit folds down quickly for easy storage.
Call toll-free like I did to shape up and slim down with Easy Glider.
Call toll-free 1-800-972-3400. We'll bill your credit card 3 easy payments of $19.95 each. You get a full 60-day home trial with a money-back guarantee. The total price, $59.85 plus $9 shipping and handling. Call 1-800-972-3400 now.
The championship round finals of the $135,000 Columbia 300 Open have been brought to you by Midas for mufflers, brakes, and shocks. Nobody beats Midas. Nobody. And by Desinex. If you don't know the score, don't blame Desinex. Well, I'm going to say that you're a popular champion here at Highland Lanes, Brian Voss. Let's talk about the title match. You couldn't knock the 10-pin down, but you did everything else.
Before I do anything, I want to say hi to my wife, Andrea, back home. I know you're watching right now. Yes. This tournament's dedicated to my Joshua, my little boy.
All right. Now, do you want to get back to bowling now? Or
okay.
How about Mom and Dad? You want to talk to them, too?
Well, yeah, I'm doing a grand opening for my dad's pro shop in a few weeks. Dad, hi.
And we'll be back with further commercial announcements from Brian Voss. No. All right. Forget the championship game. Let's go to last night. You're 312 pins ahead going into the final 8 games, and Scott Devers goes right by you. What happened?
I didn't bowl well last night. It's really hard to lead a tournament for an entire week. It really is. It's happened before. There have been times when I've been way behind and made the telecast. It just happens. It happens to everybody. You just put it behind you, get a good night's sleep, and get more airtime today.
Obviously, you took advantage of it, Michael.
Brian, you've been making some changes in your game. You were telling me earlier about change in span, change in push away. Tell us about that.
Well, I felt like to compete out here, I needed to develop a way to hook the ball a little bit more. The guys that seem to be doing well have that advantage over me. So I did a little something with my grip, my push away, and developed a little more rotation on the ball, and it helped all this week. I didn't play the lanes this morning the way I played them throughout the week. That was more of my natural game, but it turned out to be the right way.
Well, what did you do today? Try and throw it a little bit straighter?
Exactly. I just tried to stay behind the ball, get a little more end over end. It seemed to be the right way to play them, a little more direct.
Well, the only mistake I see is you didn't watch the tip.
No, what was it?
It was on the 3, 4, 6, 7, 10.
Oh, well, hey, that was crucial. I mean, one, when you got 5 pins up there, that's pretty weak. But, you know, I was this far from making it, too.
Right.
That's what Mike said 6 times in the taping prior to the tip this afternoon. One other question, though. Scott Devers comes out, opens pack, and you had to be thinking you were in trouble.
Well, he got off to a good start, but I really loosened up between games. I got a real good swing going, and I felt good. I was making real good shots, and I had a lot of confidence going into that game. I knew if I got a couple strings, or a couple strikes going, that he might squeeze a little bit. But whatever, it worked out.
Worked out is exactly right. Let's talk about one of the big shots here that you threw, one of the big strikes here. Do you remember which one this was? I think it was in the 10th.
Well, I had a real good feel in the right lane. As long as I just kept a good tempo and didn't ease up a little bit, I had everything I needed. That was just one of the many shots I threw there.
But they all looked the same, didn't they,
Brian? They all looked the same, yeah.
That was a good,
I really bowled a good game. It was one of my better games on TV.
You know, a lot of people have been wondering where Brian Voss has been this entire season. Mike and I have talked about being married now and having a brand new child and a new home, and that's a lot of responsibility. It does kind of take away from your bowling.
Yeah, I tell you, it was real frustrating on the lanes, but off the lanes, I've had a wonderful life. I wouldn't trade it for the world. I don't know what else to say. It's really frustrating when you're used to competing with the guys every week and being up there, and there were weeks where I wasn't even close. I mean, I was down almost in last place some weeks. But, you know, you got to focus on this game on a day-to-day basis. These guys are the best in the world, and you know, concentration and mental thoughts in this game is just so important, and it's just your ability to focus. And I'm back.
And, of course, you were focused on the fact that Joshua needed a new pair of shoes. We'll be back to get $21,000 and a beautiful trophy here in Austin, Texas. Stay with us.
A change is coming, it's understood. Happening all over my neighborhood. Only one place got the taste for me. Gonna change the Pizza Hut delivery.
Call Pizza Hut Delivery now for the double cheeseburger pizza. Get one medium for $8.99, a second for just $4 more. Or make it deluxe with bacon and onions for just $1 more.
Gonna change the Pizza Hut delivery. Pizza Hut delivery, making it great.
This minivan goes shopping, gets the kids to school, carries camping gear. When I need brakes, I can't wait for my dealer to fix them.
Then come to Midas.
Hey, this is a minivan.
Hey, this is Midas. Cars, trucks, vans, and minivans. We're the brake experts. We do the job right with a written estimate up front, Midas-trained experts, and a great guarantee.
What about price?
You get a good price and a lot of value. But brakes done right, nobody beats Midas. Nobody.
Texas hospitality for our winner, Brian Voss, and the general manager here, Pat Fitzpatrick, has a check worth $21,000.
This ought to cover the price of the pair of shoes. Check for $21,000. Congratulations, a great week, Brian.
Thank you, Pat. I'd like to thank Pat, Jerry Ray. The hospitality at this tournament is always great every year. The guys love coming back here. I look forward to coming back next year. And I'll thank Columbia as soon as I get that nice trophy.
And speaking of the trophy, we'll bring in PBA Hall of Famer now, John Jowdy, who has the check for the, or I should say the trophy for the champion. John, a few words.
Brian, congratulations on a hell of a week. And on behalf of Columbia and the entire organization, we want to present you with this trophy.
Thank you, John. It's kind of ironic. John's helped me out a lot with my game over the last couple of years, and here he stands handing me this trophy. So I thank you twice, John. Thank you. Columbia, for your contribution to bowling. We really appreciate it. It means a lot to us, and I can't thank you enough. I'd also like to thank all you fans here, the scorekeepers. We can't do it without you, and you guys are the best.
Well, you add $21,000 now to your career earnings, Brian, and you're closely pursuing that $1 million barrier. If we've updated it here, I think we have. Yeah, you're only a little over $48,000 off of $1 million.
Well, there's a few tournaments left this year. I think, you know, if I keep going, I can get over that $1 million mark. But there's been a lot of players this year that have been doing so well. Everybody seems to be coming into their own at the same time, and it's a tough grind out here. It really is.
You know, it's funny because you and I have talked in the past couple of years where you've made, one year you made 10 shows. I think that might have been last year or the year before, and you were about 50-50 in the championship round. This year you're undefeated. You're 6-0, so it does swing back in the other direction.
Yeah, things really even out here. You know, you just keep a good, positive attitude. It's not always easy to do that, but you try and do that, and hopefully things will even out.
And, of course, Mike, do you have one more question here before we're done?
Well, I was wondering what your plans are for the future, the rest of this year. Are you going to bowl them all, or are you going to take some weeks off?
I felt like I have to bowl, every tournament, just until I get, into the groove again. Those are still my plans. I'm going to bowl every event this year. Real quickly, I'd also like to thank Brunswick for their confidence in me as a staff member, and I'll see you guys all year long. I'm going to make it some more.
I just have one final question. We have about 15 seconds. Is Joshua going to be a righty or a lefty?
Joshua, I bowl both-handed, so he's gonna do either. I'm gonna let him do anything. No, Andrea, I'm not gonna let him do everything he wants.
I was gonna say you're gonna be in trouble if you keep talking, so we'll just say so long here from Austin, Texas.